Veronica, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. I was calling for you a little while ago when lashes were on. You gonna stay on?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Mm.
All right, guys, we are live streaming as well. This is for your review. Let's pick up. We are on page 117, just looking at gases, vapors, and fumes. We were on here. I just want to reiterate these terms. So just make sure you are familiar with these terms. You need to know the difference between a gas, a vapor, and a fume. Okay, there's actually a quiz within your SEMA that asks the difference between these. So please make sure you know. I am going to highlight the fume, probably put it in blue. So we'll know the difference. Okay, over in pink, a gas defined as a state of matter consisting of particles which have neither a defined volume nor defined shape, very different from vapors. Okay, so it's a gas. It's there. It has no shape, no consistency to it, but it's particles of matter. Okay, vapors formed when liquids evaporate. So the liquid evaporate is not a liquid anymore. Any substance that is liquid at room temperature will form a vapor. Any substance, okay? And so, how does that relate to nails? It says all types of nail enhancement, going to yellow. All types of nail enhancement systems will form vapors. All right. So now that we're talking about nails, all types of nail enhancement systems will form vapors. Monomer liquids, even odorless monomer. All right. When you go to stay bored, you have to use odorless. UV gels, wrap resins, adhesives, all form vapors, not gases or fumes. All right. So it's something that will pollute, that will evaporate into the air. Something that will evaporate into the air. So they all form vapors. Okay, so even if someone says I'm using something, it doesn't really have a smell to it, non-damaging, but it's like it's there without people knowing visibly that it's there. You may not smell a major difference, but it's there. Okay, this is why you working personally and also your clients making sure you have on the mask. It helps a lot as well, and making sure you're very careful when choosing your products and ingredients. um, I was just over in San Juan, and nails is big, 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 big. Okay, they have all types of monomers and polymers and all types of everything. All right, and so it's good for you to look around, learn about each product, and basically also consider where you're working. Do you work in an area that has proper ventilation? Or do you work in an area where there's no windows? You have to buy something that helps circulate the air, or you're going to smoke yourself out. Okay. And so that's all good for you to check out. Let's look at fumes. In the blue, a blend of soup like particles mixed with vapors. They usually result from burning substances such as candles, incense, cigarettes, and gasoline in a car engine. Same as when it comes to lashes. Okay. Many individuals will say certain lashes are too strong, which allows, they may say the fumes from the lashes, not necessarily the fumes, it could be the vapors from the lashes. They're too strong, which allows people sometimes their eyes to turn red, watery, and very sensitive. All right. So please be mindful of that. The nose and the mouth are two open airways to the body. Okay. So be mindful of what you're working with in the space that you're working with, because you don't want to harm you and you don't want to harm your clients. It says fumes must not be confused with vapors. It would be incorrect to use the term film when speaking about a vapor or gas. Nail monomers emit vapors, not fumes. And so they're trying to really correct the language because many individuals would say fumes. They said fumes for so many years, but it's vapors. All right, vapors. And those vapors evaporate. Okay, take the monomer, got the liquid, you start to smell the liquid in the air, but the longer that liquid sits out there, the longer the liquid sits out there, it will eventually evaporate. Okay, it says my screen is paused. Let me stop share and go back to sharing the screen. Let me make sure we all seeing the same thing. Okay, there we go. It says describe the function of adhesion, adhesives, and primers. If you were joining me about 2 weeks ago, last team, we're talking about adhesive, adhesion, and primers. And we said then that the nail students have to go through the same thing, okay? So adhesion is the actual connection. That's the nail tip connected to the nail plate, something that sticks. Adhesive is what we would call the glue. I got my quotations in the air. Okay, nail glue, our technical term, nail adhesive. Okay, and then there's a primer. Primers helps shut down any moisture. Okay, it helps shut down any moisture, any oils. It really dries out. Most primers have an acetone water solution mix. Okay, so with that high acetone water solution mix, it is going to dry out, get rid of a lot of oil that may be trapped in the folds of the skin and dry. It's just going to dry out that whole area in preparation for the adhesion of the tip to the nail plate. All right. So these three all come together. And it says when a client complains about a nail enhancement lifting, let's pay attention, or popping off, there is a high chance that one of these processes have not been done correctly. So that tells me one of the most important factors to someone getting their nail enhancements done, it's not the design, it's not the shaping. That's the final work, okay? It is making sure that that tip sticks on that nail. We have the right adhesive and we have primed that place. So if they're popping off, something happened. Did we use primer? Did we use oil-based products and no primer? When we went back, did we use the primer? Did we go back and add something else? Did we have air bubbles? Was my adhesive not strong enough? Okay, so the problem would go back. The finding the solution or finding the actual issue would go back to the beginning, not necessarily how it turned out on the end. Adhesion, okay? A force of nature that makes two surfaces stick together. We're talking nail plate and we are talking nail tip, okay? Plastic nail tip and nail plate, okay? Two surfaces stick together. That's adhesion. Adhesion results when the molecules on one surface are attached to the molecules on another. This is mainly when you glue something together, okay? When you glue something together. It says oils, waxes, and soil. I'm going to put this in blue. Oil, waxes, and soil will contaminate a surface and block adhesion. Okay? Contaminate a surface, make it dirty, and block adhesion. So oil, waxes, and soil will make something dirty and allow the nail plate not to stick to the nail, the artificial nail. So oil, waxes, and soil means the nails are not going to stick. Not only are they not going to stick, they're going to be dirty. Okay. This is why a clean, dry surface will provide better adhesion. This is also before we do any services, we wash our hands, clean up our fingertips, fingernails. Okay. And a lot of people do not choose to wash hands because they feel like the soap adds moisture to the skin, which in tail can seep into the nail folds, the cuticle, and hold that oil there, and it doesn't allow your nails to stay on long enough. You will find some people just wants to do the hand sanitizer or just put some acetone in their hands just to dry their skin out. So this really will work. But I say to each his own. State board says wash your hands. You know, you can only do so much hand sanitizer before you need to go wash your hands. And so I would not use the excuse of not wanting to wash hands. It's simply because you don't want the oil to get in, be trapped into the nail file. All right. So you want to make sure you wash your hands. Going yellow. Nail tips and forms. You'll learn how to prepare a clean, dry surface for nail enhancements. That was adhesion. Okay. Stick together. Now this is adhesive. It's in blue. A chemical that causes two surfaces to stick together. Okay. Anything you want to stick together is an adhesive. Okay. Adhesives allow incompatible surfaces to be joined. Things that normally are not supposed to be joined, they don't click together, they're not magnetic, but they join. They're incompatible surfaces. Okay. So Scotch tape is a plastic that is coated with a sticky adhesive. Without the adhesive, the plastic film would not stick to paper. Okay, so that's Scotch tape. It has a sticky adhesive. All right, adhesives are like ship's anchor. All right, it's going to hold things in place. It's going to help you set the foundation. All right, one end of the anchor attached to the ship and the other end attached to the ground. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, there's many different types of adhesives. Different adhesives are compatible with different surfaces. And we know there's different types of adhesives because we got Gorilla Glue, okay? We got all kinds of glues and adhesives. You go to the Walmart, you can go to Target, you can go to the Home Depots, you'll see all these different types of adhesives and tapes. So there is an adhesive to fit what you're working on. Lash adhesive, nail adhesive, and hair adhesive. You got nail glue, lash glue, and hair glue. Okay. All of them are called adhesives. The nail primer, a substance that improves adhesion. It improves it. Same thing for my lash girlies. Okay. You want to prime the area. It eliminates oil in the lash area and it dries it out, prepares your lashes that you're going to put on to hang on longer. Okay. It improves the retention because there's no oil present. All right. So it says a nail polish base coat is a type of primer. Okay. So it's just initially a type of primer. Okay. It is sometimes used, guys, and sometimes base coats are not used. Okay. You find some base coats that are not shiny. They can be very matte. Okay. And definitely resembles that of a primer. It says a base coat acts as a go-between to anchor, improves the adhesion. The base coat in polishing will keep the polish on the nail. So it's between the nail and the polish. It keeps the polish in place. All right. Other types of primers. I'm a yellow that statement. There are three basic types of primers: acid-based, non-acid, and acid-free. Okay. These are especially useful if the client has oily nail plates where adhesion is a problem. So if someone's telling you they got oily skin, you definitely think that it is, if they got skin around their nails, that skin is going to hold some moisture. Okay. The skin is going to hold some moisture. All right. Some types of nail primers act like double-sided sticky tape. One side sticks well to the nail at enhancement, and the other side holds tightly to the nail plate. These types of primers create physical bonds. Newer types of primers chemically bond with the enhancement and the nail plate to create a chemical linkage. So it's a whole chemistry going on. So although we see just putting the adhesive on the plate to bind, we see two things sticking together. It's an actual chemical reaction that is going on. Okay, a chemical linkage. I'm gonna put this in blue. I said blue is yellow. Okay. A common misconception is that nail primers eat or etch the nail. That's completely false. Nail primers do not weary away at the nail. Your nail does not diminish because of the primer. Okay. Here's what we need to look at. It's a great picture here. You have your nail surface on the bottom. Okay. Everywhere we put the primer, then the actual mixture for your acrylic nails, polymers and monomers, they can attach themselves on top of the primer. Okay. This is what's going to ensure that the acrylic is going to stay on the nail. If you do not have the primer, then you're going to be open to any gaps. Okay. And so then you have to popping off. You're easily removed. So nail surface, primers, and then we have our polymers and monomers. This is our acrylic mixture that lies and builds itself on top of the primer. And when it builds itself on top of the primer, it lasts longer. Okay. Nail clippings can soak for many years in any primer without dissolving. Isn't that cool? So primers are not, it defeats the myth of saying that primers are bad for the skin. They're absolutely not. Okay. And it does not erode. It does not corrode. It does not eat away at the nail as some may think. Okay, so some are very corrosive to soft tissue and eyes. Instead of corrosive, let's define is a substance that can cause visible and possible irreversible permanent skin or eye damage. Let's highlight that in pink. All right. Nail primers, like most professional nail products, must never touch the skin. We're only on the nail. Only on the nail. Okay. Acid-based primers are corrosive and can cause painful burns and scars to soft tissue and eyes. This is a very corrosive primer. Must be kept in containers with child-resistant caps, glove safety, so on and so on. Let's do green. Okay, let's break down acid-based primers, okay? Anything that's acid-based, I want you to think of, and it's at this point, you're thinking of the pH scale. All right. An acid-based primer is very strong. It would be in the category of chemical peels. Coca-Cola, you can put Coca-Cola on a battery and you can start to see it bubbling. It takes the rust off the stuff. Okay. And so acid-based primers will be a little stronger and they fall in the category of pH scale of anywhere between 1 to 3. Okay. So it's a very, very strong primer. So you be very careful when you're using acid-based primers because they said they can be corrosive, which means if the tissue is soft, if the tissue is sensitive, if the nails, this is also another reason why it should be care and questionable when people are doing acrylic nails on very young children because their hair is in a soft stage, their scalp is in a soft stage, their skin is in a soft stage. So they have not built their skin up, any of those particles up to be strong enough to take certain products. So you as a professional, you have to make sure that you're asking questions. And if you're using very strong products, it should be used on adult-like people. Okay. So children, I may do polish. I may not do acrylic tips because just here, The primer may be acid balanced and too strong for that person. Even though it's not supposed to go on the skin, it may be too strong and cause issues if it would touch the skin because it does not do well when it comes in contact with skin. Okay, especially soft skin. And soft skin should be related to young skin. Soft skin, young skin. Okay, soft skin, young skin. Everybody can't get everything. And you may say, I want to practice these nails on my daughter, but what kind of products do you have? What are the ingredients? Okay. Do she have this his or her skin built up enough, strength strong enough to take it? So that's something we have to always make sure we check out as well. It says even though primers would not damage or etch the nail plate, etch, go in and help and diminish the nail plate. Okay. Corrosive acid-based primers can burn the nail bed tissue if the nail plate is improperly filed. All right. So primers are not supposed to do any harm, but if you have acid base, we've seen this 2 or 3 times already. Acid base primers can do more harm than they do good. All right. It says check your nail preparation and application procedure for problems. Primer can become a crutch, covering up improper application, but please make sure your structure is fine. Get that file, adhesion, adhesives, primer, get that out the way. But you have to now make sure that you're filing, applying your acrylic properly, things of that nature. All right, non-corrosive primers, sometimes called non-acid or acid-free primers, do not contain methacrylic acid, the acid-based primer ingredients. All right, and y'all, that said methacrylic. All right, so go for your non-corrosive, okay, which is non-acid or acid-free primers. Going to be great for the skin. Going to be pH balance, okay. Gonna come in neutral or pH balance. Prolonged and repeated skin contact is not supposed to touch the skin, can cause improper application, could lead to allergic reaction over time. So please make sure you are watching your client's skin over a period of time as you use this and you're not applying this on the skin. Avoid contact with the skin using their primers, adhesives, wraps, monomer liquids, polymer liquids, UV gel. None of this is supposed to go on the skin. I'm going to put this in purple. So it's going to be cool for us to remember. Let's define the chemistry behind adhesion of nail enhancements. All right, so something sticking, a nail enhancement sticking to the nail plate. Good adhesion depends on proper technique and high quality products. The best way to ensure success is to start with a clean, dry surface. Just like the state of Tennessee requires you to wash hands before servicing any clients. That's for you guys, okay? So we want to make sure they are cleaning their hands as well. So washing the hands and scrubbing the nail plate with a nail brush removes surface oils and contaminants, surface oils and dirts that interfere with proper adhesion. And here's another thing, guys. If you are sticking your hands in a jar and other people are sticking their hands in a jar, you are actually transmitting, you're actually becoming like a transplant. You are getting bacteria from that jar from those other people and putting it on your skin. You're putting it back on your skin. Okay. So just be very, very mindful. Just of when you see the word contaminant, it means dirty, making sure that you're not sticking your fingers in anything, picking up, anything, and then putting it right back on your skin. Scrubbing also gets rid of bacteria and fungi. All right. It could cause fingernail infections. You got to make sure that you're cleaning, got to make sure you get it all of that good. So definitely a nail plate is a nail brush is suggested. It says improper nail preparation is a leading cause of most type of nail enhancements popping off. That means do not be trying to rush. Don't try to rush. Okay. You got to build your speed up, but you cannot shortcut. You cannot make any shortcuts. You got to go through the process. Okay. So let's go through the process. Clean. Make sure we brush. Make sure we get all this together because on down the line, because we skipped this part, now we got our nails. Client come back in the next day to my something's not right. A nail dehydrator temporarily removes surface moisture from the nail plate. Excessive moisture on the nail on the surface of the plate can interfere with product adhesion. We've just been talking about that. Okay, too much moisture can interfere with the retention of that nail. Here's another myth that nail enhancements and tips do not stick unless you rough up the nail. It says roughing up the nail is potentially harmful to clients' nails because you can cause it to be thin. You can cause it to be brittle. It says adhesion is best when a nail plate is clean and dry. Okay? Clean and dry. When nail enhancements are removed, clients are likely to see damage caused by heavy filing. We see that all the time. And so heavy filing from either manual or mechanical. Okay, manual or mechanical. When you take the nails off and you see all the ridges, you need that nail plate to strengthen back up because each layer, every time that drill goes across, is taking off a layer of that nail plate. Okay, and so the more you drill, the more sensitive the nails begin to be. And so I wear nails all the time. And I was just telling my sister I need to get these things cut down because they're just as long as my nails, my natural nails. And so for me, I do use the drill, but I do like to have like a week, at least a week or two of no nails just to make sure I'm bringing my real nails back into a place that I can handle them without having to have a drill. So I want to get rid of the ridges. I do a little manicure or something like that. I want them smooth. All right. Here's where it says heavy abrasions and overfiling. Heavy abrasives. Abrasives are files. Okay. Heavy abrasives and overfiling, excessively roughing up the nail plate may cause the nail plate to lift and separate from the nail bed. Many people do not talk about that. They don't talk about this as a reason that the nail plate came off. They think the manicures did something, but it could have been previously wherever they were going to had issues with the nail plate. Previously, somebody was doing something just because they are used to filing the nail, getting it rough, but it says over filing, doing too much, and heavy abrasives using the harsher drills on the hand, the harsher drills or the harsher files on the fingernails that you will probably use on the toes. Okay. So too hard. Overfiling may cause potentially dangerous excessive thinning of the nails. So now your nails are super, super sensitive. Okay. Once this occurs, clients are more susceptible to developing infections. And if you are, I don't want to say 808, if you are excessively filing with those abrasives, they're really hard, you are taking away the protection of the nail. That nail plate is going away because you're thinking, I'm just filing down, going across it. You're not doing anything. If you are in an excessive mode, you're now starting to harm it. Okay. And so now that fingernails in that nail plate area become very sensitive and could be opened up for infection. So please mind your manners when it comes to that. And here's an example of rough filing, how it damages both the nail plate and the underlying tissue of the nail bed. All right, just abuse. Abuse. Let's look at coatings, okay? It says compare nail coating products in terms of their chemical or physical reaction. All right. When we talking about coatings, y'all, when you see the word coatings, that means nail polish, top coats, nail tips, that means nail glue, okay? Those are coatings. Let me highlight it in yellow for you. Coatings that cure or polymerize, okay? Cure or polymerize. Let me, highlight in yellow, cure, C-U-R-E, okay? That's when something has to set. And the longer as it sets, has a setting time, it has a processing time, okay? Polymerize, it has to set. As it sets, it settles, it hardens, basically. As it sets, it hardens, okay? Coatings that harden upon evaporation, all right? So as the air hits it, it now starts to become solid, all right? And so a lot of times we have coatings that harden upon evaporation. That is your regular nail polish. Now, when we talk about cure or polymerize, you're talking that chemical reaction, you need the LED. Here's your gel UV. Here's also you're putting your nail with the acrylic under the light, all right? You need this chemical process for it to harden. It says, I'm gonna put this in, I'm gonna put these two in blue, just so you know to study those. Nail enhancements and UV gel manicures are examples of coatings created by chemical reaction. I just stated that. When you see the word cure, C-U-R-E, it should refer to LED. Something cure, okay? I got a lash student on here, there are LED lashes. That means you put the lashes on regularly, but with a special adhesive, and then you're gonna take that light, the same light you would use for nails, but it's gonna be packaged differently. That same light and put over that lash area. That is gonna cause a chemical reaction to harden, okay? And it hardens, it settles in because of that light. Nail enhancements and UV gel manicures are examples of coatings created by chemical reactions. All right, so I'm gonna put that in yellow. Coatings created by evaporation, as I stated before, keyword evaporation. It's a physical action. You just gotta wait on time. Okay, you gotta wait, sit over there, let the air, or just let it just chill. That's how that works. So coatings created by evaporation, which means when the air hits it, then it starts to dry up. Okay. Coatings created by evaporation include nail polish, base coat, and top coat. I'm gonna put it in blue. And I'm going to, well, actually, I'm gonna change something. Put this one in pink, and I'm gonna put this one in pink. All right, so pink and pink go together, blue and blue go together. Okay. The following is a brief overview of chemistry behind these products. So let's talk about monomers and polymers. Yes. Now, a big side of your job is going to be acrylics. So monomer and polymers, these are going to be your liquids and powders as they begin to come together. When they come together, they form what we call it's acrylic. And acrylic is what you guys would use on the nail tips. Technology has come so far that it has started to minimize the processes. So now we can get our acrylic tips, we can get our gels, all of that can be done faster through technology. Okay. Let's look at monomer and polymers. Creating a nail enhancement is a good example of a chemical reaction. All right, so I'm gonna highlight here, seen that before in a test, study it. All right, all monomer and monomer liquid and polymer powder enhanced nail enhancements, UV gel wraps and adhesive work in this fashion. So hey, this is something that's coming on. This is what I want you to remember. Monomers are liquid, polymers are powder. When they mix together, they do make a monoacrylic fiber. All right. The molecules in the product join together, extremely long chains. Okay. When you guys see powder and liquid come together, okay, it is almost similar to the same thing. You know, these two come together, they make nail tips. The dentists use monomer and polymer also, y'all. And when they come together, they make fillings, they make porcelain teeth, they make a whole lot of other stuff. So the doctors are using it too, but they're using it for a different form. Okay, so it's the same thing, same reaction, mixing the two together. All right. Polymers can be liquids that are usually solid. Chemical reaction that makes polymers called polymerization. Let's make sure there's a note there. Put it in blue. Polymerization. Okay. And hair conditioning, hair preparation. Conditioners have polymers in it, y'all. So when you guys are getting your hair shampooed and you put conditioner on your hair, conditioners have polymers in it. The polymer with conditioner, it wraps itself around the hair and it starts to seal the cuticle. Conditioners make the hair easy to detangle and comb. It softens, it brings the pH of the hair back down. All right. And so you can take similar polymer actions into the acrylic component. It's going to make something out of nothing come down and start to settle down and form the shape that you apply it to. So you put it on the nail, it's going to stay in that shape. It's going to start to harden in that shape. Sometimes the terms curing, or hardening are used, but they all have the same meaning. Polymerization starts to harden. Once these two come together, their job is to form, and they can be, you have to form it, but they become solid. All right. It says there are many types of polymer: Teflon, nylon, hair, and wood, all considered polymers. Okay. Proteins are also polymers. I just talked to you about it being in hair conditioner. Okay. The individual molecules that join to make polymer are called monomers. Monomers. Okay. Monomers. Okay. You have monomer, the liquid mixed with the powders. Let me give you what we are here for. All right. Monomers, a simple polymer chain, grows by adding monomers to a head to tail fashion. So it's just us growing the nail, growing the nail, growing the nail. The more we add to the liquid, the more solid it becomes. Okay. As long as it's liquid, it's going to, you know, it's not gonna be solid. It's just gonna keep running. But as we add powder to it, remember the ratio. We add powder to it, it begins to start to harden and form up. Monomer liquid, polymer powder, nail enhancements, and UV gels and wraps all seem very different, but they're the same. Each type of product is made from a different but closely related monomer. Okay. Monomers are like track runners milling about at the starting line, patiently waiting for the race to begin. You ain't start nothing unless you got the monomer. Okay. You ain't start nothing unless you got the monomer. All right. Here's another term: initiator. Initiator. We also call initiator buffers. So you may have a monomer or polymer that may have an added catalyst, and a catalyst makes something hard. And sometimes you have a dry adhesive inside of your monomer. You'll say, Miss Cox, what are you talking about? Sometimes you have adhesive is a glue, but sometimes you'll have crystallized powder adhesives. You know, when it hardens, then they may freeze dry it, then they would crunch it up, okay, into these little bitty fine pieces, and they add a little bit of that to your monomer. All right. When you mix it with the polymer, you're lift, so it actually is forming the nail, but it wakes up the adhesive particle inside of it. They call that a catalyst. And so it's something that kind of jump starts the nail that you can get going faster. All right. So it adds a buffer, call it an initiator, a buffer, or a catalyst. It just makes something go faster. All right. Faster may not always be the way, but you do have products will cost you a little bit more that it goes faster. Okay. And a lot of times they are heat activated. All right, which means or light activated. Put them up to light, put them up to heat. All right, and then you will start to see it start to form. Here's the term catalyst. I kind of went ahead of myself. The catalyst substance that speeds up the chemical reaction by making initiators work more efficiently. Okay, it helps boost something up. What if you got a product that works slow? Okay, you're gonna add a catalyst to it, and the catalyst said, "Oh, we ain't got time for this. Let's roll." That's what a catalyst says. I don't have time. I come to shut it down. Let's roll. In our lash students, you guys have catalysts. Okay, you can spray the catalyst, and it will start to harden the lashes. You also can spray and makeup. You have setting sprays. Those are catalysts. Those are initiators. It will start to set things in place. And you guys have the same thing in nails. All right. It can be found inside of the product, catalyst, or it may be something that you paint. For me, let's say if I do nail wrap, a nail wrap is simply going to be a piece of paper or a piece of fabric and adhesive, nail glue. Okay. Prep the nail glue, place the fabric on there. Then I do another layer of the nail glue, let it dry. Another layer of the nail glue, let it dry. And after about 3 layers, it's as thick and strong and hard as acrylic nails. That's a nail wrap. All right. So I can get the same thing. What happens, that catalyst was in the adhesive. It starts to make it dry. As soon as it touches the fabric, it starts to cool it down. Okay. Oligomer. I know I messed that word up. I'm gonna have to study that. A short chain of monomers that has had the growth of its chain halted because it became a polymer. Okay, so it switched. It went from one thing to the next. Let me highlight. So when you guys go back in and reference things that we highlighted, you know that we've already been over. Okay, think about the monomers as they said something pre-cooked. Okay, only thing you got to do is heat it up. What do we see that at? We see that as individuals who make the nails, and the only thing you got to do is have the adhesive to put it on. Okay, there are different types of adhesives to that, and there are different types of polymers and add-ons to add to that as well. You can use UV gel, you can use curing lights, things of that nature. All of those are great components to use in the future. Let's see if we can move over to a video, and Thursday for our nail students, we'll pick back up. I'm gonna highlight here so we'll know where to come. We'll pick back up at cross-linking polymer chain. So it's just the chemistry makeup of this acrylic powder and liquid that you guys purchased. So we're just talking about the actual chemical makeup. Okay, it may be a little nerdy, but I do want you to go back. I want you to reference it and things of that nature. Let me stop share. We're going to move into our video, and then we're going to call it an evening. I'm excited to, I think I got to log back in. Hold on, let me log back in so I can get to our video.
Hi there! Congratulations on your decision to become a licensed nail technician. As a pro, you'll want to be knowledgeable about nail product chemistry. Chemistry Smarts is sure to boost your credibility, equip you to solve problems, help you inform clients about how nail products work, and help you make sales. Did you know that everything you see and touch is a chemical? Most chemicals are busy molecules. Molecules are like tiny building blocks constantly arranging and rearranging themselves. Trillions of molecules must react to make just one sculptured nail. Consider adhesion, adhesives, and primer. Adhesion results when the molecules on one surface are attracted to the molecules on another. An adhesive is a chemical that makes two incompatible surfaces stick together. Some types of nail primers act like double-sided sticky tape, creating a physical bond. Newer ones form a chemical bond. No matter what type of primer you use, it must not touch the skin. Acid-based primers are corrosive and can burn and scar skin. Non-acid or acid-free primers can lead to an allergic reaction if they touch the skin repeatedly. This means proper application is essential. Start with a clean and dry nail plate. File gently, using a buffer to remove only the surface shine. Over-filing and scraping can damage nails as well as your professional reputation. There are two types of coatings, those that polymerize and those that harden as they evaporate. The chemical reaction that makes polymers are called polymerization. Gigantic chains of molecules, or monomers, form when an initiator molecule sets them off. Initiators can be heat or light. Monomers pass off this energy, making longer and longer chains until they become entangled and eventually stuck. When this happens, the surface is hard enough to file. Nail coatings that work by evaporation contain solvents. As they evaporate, they leave behind a smooth polymer film. They can also hold plasticizers, which keep products flexible, and UV stabilizers, which keep the color bright. Are these chemicals toxic? They can be, but only through overexposure. This important principle says that overexposure determines toxicity. To prevent overexposure, salons must follow OSHA mandates. These include local source capture ventilation systems and wearing a well-fitted N95 dust mask. Effective ways to ensure safe working conditions exist, but you have to use them.
All right. So that was our video. I do want you guys to just pick up and start reading the rest of the chapter. We're going to pick up on Thursday, just breaking down more chemistry components of monomers and polymers. To me, it seems like it's going to be very interesting. But we'll also take a quiz on coding. So everything we went over tonight, I do want to run those quizzes on Thursday night. Okay? Are y'all cool with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for your answers. All right, definitely clock as usual. I actually brought y'all back something from San Juan, and so I'm probably gonna get it. I'm gonna miss your teacher's on a cruise. I wish she would have took me, but when she gets back, I've already let her see some of the items that we picked up. We got to get some kits together, so that should be cool. You know, kids are